Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Frenemies. I'm your host tonight, DJ Cox, along with our Yankee fan, David Swor.
That's right.
David's representing tonight.
That's right. Look here, guys. We'll show you something. This is a Hall of Fame jersey. Mike Mussina. I brought the big guns out tonight.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me in all this Yankee history, you got a Mike Mussina jersey of all people?
Yeah, and I didn't even buy this jersey. Mike Rhodes hooked me up back in the day. I've had this jersey forever, and it's the only one that I own, believe it or not. So picked a pretty good one, I guess. I was always a fan.
No Babe Ruth, no Derek Jeter.
Look at you in your hat, man. What's up with that? Tell us about that hat.
Well, so I knew this would make you very happy. I wore my Boston Red Sox custom hat tonight. If the logo happens to fall off halfway through the show, it'll become an Orioles hat. So I know these are two of your favorite teams in the entire world. So I wanted to represent for you tonight and make sure you enjoyed that throughout the show.
Yep. Two of the biggest losers I know. Red Sox and Orioles.
All right, David. So David obviously is a Yankees fan. He's excited about the episode tonight. Talk a lot more than I am tonight. So, David, why don't you give us a quick recap of the 2019 season?
All right, DJ, I'm going to ask you a quick question right here. This is a pre-trivia question, okay?
Okay.
What team had the most games lost on the DL in the history of MLB?
Ooh, the Yankees.
The 2019
Yankees.
The 2019 Yankees. And in spite of that fact, they were so close to being in the World Series. Maybe had Jose Altuve not known the pitch that was coming, they might be in the World Series. We'll never know. But it was a crazy season. I'm going to read you a list of the players that missed significant time with the Yankees last year. Luis Severino, number 1 starter. He only threw 3 starts last year. Miguel Andujar, starting third baseman, runner-up in Rookie of the Year, 27 home runs. Didn't play at all. Actually, I'm sorry, played 10 games. Giancarlo Stanton, one of the best power hitters in the league, 18 games. Aaron Hicks, starting center fielder, 59 games. Aaron Judge, one of the best players in the game, 102 games. Didi Gregorius, starting shortstop, missed half the season. Gary Sanchez, one of the top catchers in the league, missed 60 games. Number 5 starter, Jordan Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken, finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 18. Tommy John surgery, out for the year. Domingo Germán, 18-4, missed the whole last half of the season due to domestic violence. Dellin Betances, probably the best setup man in the game, pitched 1 game, struck out the side, by the way. So it was a rough year. But the Yankees had a super deep farm system, so they had a ton of guys step up. And Aaron Boone did a masterful job putting it all together. Just seemed like every week somebody big was going down, and somehow somebody else would just step up. And I really think that's a testament to the manager that Boone is. Boone does some stuff that drives me crazy. He mixes up his lineup every night. I hate it. He makes some weird choices sometimes in the bullpen, and I hate that. But I can't fault him on it. He's really good about resting the bullpen, and sometimes some guys are in some key spots that you think shouldn't be there, but it seems to always work out. But the Yankees, had those guys not been out, I really believe, obviously had a really good shot to win the World Series. They were just a couple games away from being in the World Series. And so it was a rough year, but it was a cool year. The Yankees aren't known for bringing up players from the farm system, and last year we got to see a ton of them. So it was exciting.
So, David, I'm not even going to start to get into things that are negative on this show, but give me your thoughts just in about 5 or 10 seconds about the Houston Astros?
Well, I've got mixed feelings on the subject, just to be honest with you, because me and you have had this discussion. So, stealing signs is part of the game. Where it becomes a problem for me is when people that discount the steroid era say that's okay. Because it's cheating, man. It's cheating. If you know what's coming as a pitcher, it's cheating. So I'm not going to be mad at the Astros, even though they're cheaters. They're going to pay a big price. They probably had the best team anyway. Whenever you got Verlander and Greinke in the top of your rotation and Garrett Cole, you probably deserve to win the World Series. But they cheated. They got away with it.
Yes. Spoken like a true Yankees fan. I didn't expect anything less. All right. All right, so I'll get into our questions now. First one for you, David. Okay. What do you believe are the strengths
Real
of the
quick.
Yes. Go for it.
What did you think about the 2019 Yankees? We haven't heard from you on this subject. What did you think about it?
Oh, you want my opinion? Okay. Okay. All right, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I was rooting for the Astros.
This ought to be good. I can tell.
You guys are a bunch of whiners. Everybody gets injuries. No big deal. Whatever. Don't use it as an excuse. I just felt that it was an opportunity for them to win it all, and they blew it. I mean, David, I got a question for you. When's the last time the Yankees won the World Series?
2009.
So you're telling me that this team that's an absolute powerhouse all these years hasn't won the World Series since 2009. Why is that?
That's right. Well, there's been a lot of problems. So the Yankees went through a rebuild, but they did it while being competitive. So that was one reason. They had some bad contracts. They had to get rid of those. They traded some key guys away, all to kind of like rebuild and kind of get away from the hole that they stepped in, signing a bunch of expensive free agents. And so the Yankees kind of remade themselves, but they did it while being competitive, which almost no one does. And so, as a baseball fan, even though I'm a Yankee fan, you got to look at that and respect that a little bit. They went through it when they traded Andrew Miller and they traded Aroldis Chapman, and basically instantly reloaded that team to where they're back where they were. They're one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, that's true. I got to admit, looking at this 2020 roster, I'm kind of impressed by the depth, and you don't get that kind of depth by, just trading everybody away to be good for that year. You're definitely right about that. This team's got a lot of depth to it, especially position-wise, I feel. That's definitely helped them, obviously, last year and will help them again this year. So we'll get into that. But there's my thoughts on your Yankees, buddy. All right, so your biggest strengths of the 2020 Yankees, go for it.
So it's got to be the lineup, right? Giancarlo should be back most of the season. Aaron Hicks will be back in center field. The Yankees got guys.
Let me stop you there. Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
Aaron Hicks is playing center?
Yeah, he will be. He will be.
Brett Gardner?
Oh, no. Brett Gardner will be in left. Brett Gardner is an elite left fielder who was miscast as a center fielder last year. So Hicks will be back in center. Gardner will be in left. Giancarlo will be DHing. But then you got Aaron Judge, hopefully will be back. Sanchez, hopefully you get a full season out of him. Luke Voigt, the Yankees found a diamond in the rough when they made that trade with the Cardinals a couple years ago. And then his backup, Mike Ford, just emerged last year. He looks like a stud. At third base, you got Urshela, who is just a great team player. And you got Andujar, again, Rookie of the Year, runner-up, 27 homers. They're going to have to find a spot to play. You got Mike Tauchman, who was an unsung hero of the Yankees last year, played a couple months, came out of nowhere, absolute stud. I mean, assuming he is back to what he was. They're going to have to find the bats for him. You got Clint Frazier, who came up last year and played a role with the team. He kind of cooled off towards the end, so it makes you wonder if he's got staying power. But the Yankees are deep in that lineup, so that should be their strength.
I could not agree with you more. I put the same thing down. I just am kind of in awe of the different ways that they can go with this lineup. I personally, I'm not sure where Brett Gardner fixed. This is the first time I heard Giancarlo is going to be DHing. I kind of like that idea. Actually, I was toying with that today. I was like, why is he not DHing? He's a perfect guy to just hit. Why would you not want him to just hit and not worry about playing the field? I've seen a lot of things where Andujar was going to possibly be the DH because he's terrible at third. Just being honest, defensively, he's pretty bad over there. So I wasn't really sure what they're going to do DH wise, and if you do that, then it makes sense a little bit more for Gardner to play. But depth, I mean, you got Hicks and, like you said, Frazier, some of those different guys at Tuckman that can play outfield. I mean, wow, they can go in a lot of different ways with that lineup. And Aaron Boone, like you said, he's going to drive you nuts with that lineup because sometimes you're going to be like, why are you doing this today? Why is this guy not playing? But to his defense, when you got that many tools, you got to use them. You got to find the best way to manage those guys every day, and that's what a manager's for. So we'll see, but definitely their biggest strength.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, DJ. You're a coach. Where would you bat after looking down their lineup? Where would you bat Gleyber Torres?
That's a good one, too. I actually thought about this today. I'm not going to lie to you. So with having Giancarlo and Judge, okay, and you got Sanchez in there too. I don't know, man. To me, I don't know if there's a leadoff guy on this team besides him, to be honest with you. I mean, you got Gardner, who's possible, and 1-2 guy up there. But I stick him 1 or 2 for sure, with all those big bats behind him. But the problem is, man, he's a big bat himself, and he's going to drive in runs too. So what do you think on that?
Well, LeMahieu's batting leadoff for sure. He was their leadoff hitter all last year. And here's what drove me crazy about Aaron Boone. Gleyber Torres, even with all the injuries last year, rarely hit above 6. It's crazy. And so, for whatever reason, Boone likes him down there. He would sometimes bat Gardner third. I just don't understand that. Usually Judge would bat second. I agree with that. But if I'm managing, Gleyber's got to be your number 3 hitter. I mean, that's usually where your best hitter is going to be. But for whatever reason, Boone absolutely refused to hit him there last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if you wanted to put Gleyber there, I would have no problem with that whatsoever because you're getting in the meat of the lineup. If you want to start with Gleyber, that's fine. Then go Giancarlo and Judge. Judge is actually kind of a prototypical 5-hitter, to be honest with you, with what he does. And, I forgot about LeMahieu. LeMahieu's definitely got to be up there after the year he had last year. So these guys are absolutely loaded in the lineup. A lot of good things for them to come, no doubt. So what do you think about biggest weakness of this team?
It's definitely the rotation, and that's kind of sad, honestly, because this was supposed to be the year that they were going to be stacking the rotation. They signed Garrett Cole, obviously top 3 or 4 pitcher in the league, but Severino, he's out for the season. Domingo Germán, 18-game winner last year in about 3/4 of the season. Now he's going to be out for the year with this domestic violence thing. He's got an 82-game suspension. Jordan Montgomery, who will probably be their number 5, I'm assuming, or 4. He's coming back from Tommy John. He was great the year before. I was really looking forward to seeing him last year. And then you got Jay Hatt, just super inconsistent last year. Kind of came on a little bit more towards the end, which was good. Paxton's coming off back surgery. He was great last year, but you wonder what that's going to do. I totally think the Yankees will probably have an opener. They did a lot last year. Chad Green filled that hole pretty well. They got Jonathan Loizica. It's been a prospect been talked about forever. Great stuff. Just can't seem to totally put it together. So I could see him being an opener as well. But the rotation is definitely the weakness.
Well, once again, I agree with you. I don't know how this is happening, but that's definitely what I put down for their biggest weakness as well. Only because of the stuff that you already mentioned with the domestic violence problem with an 18-4 guy. who stepped up huge for you guys last year. The injury to Severino was a big kick. I'm not real sold on Tanaka. I mean, I know he's good, but I'm not sure he's going to be that guy you need him to be this year, especially stepping into a bigger role with those guys out. Paxton should be okay. By the time they start, they were worried about him to begin with, but I think he's going to be fine. J.A. Happ. J.A. Happ went to high school around here, St. Bede Academy. When he's about our age now. I think he's like 37. He might have been a freshman when I was a senior. One of the best players in the state by far when he was in high school. But I don't know about him anymore. He's inconsistent, like you said. So they definitely got some question marks in that rotation. If everybody was healthy, this team, man, I don't know who beats them, to be honest with you. And it's a shame because, if they're 100%, boy, that with that lineup and that rotation and that bullpen, holy smokes. These guys are loaded. So it's definitely their problem. I do think, like you said, maybe some guys will step up and they'll be fine with that offense. Maybe some guys give up 4, 5, 6 runs and still win. But, it's definitely what I had down for the weakness as well.
Yeah,
all right,
Tanaka,
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
What I was going to say is Tanaka's interesting. He's actually had a partially torn UCL since his first year. A lot of people forget that, and so that's a ticking time bomb. He's money. He's money in the playoffs, which is crazy. But I'm like you. I don't know really what to expect out of him this year. It seems like a lot of those Japanese pitchers that come over, they're a lot the same. When I think of Tanaka, I think of Hiroki Kuroda because they're a lot alike. Not flashy. They're going to give you 6 or 7 innings to start and going to be tough in the playoffs. And so you're right, though. I mean, it's hard to know what to expect. Tanaka's getting some age and some innings on him, and he's pitching with a torn UCL. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I did forget about his torn UCL, obviously. That I don't know how you pitched through that, to be honest with you. To his credit, that's a bulldog to be fighting through something like that. So good on him, man. So what about this Yankee farm system, David? What do we got that we might see this year, possibly up in the minors, or maybe talk a little bit about some guys you're excited for in the future?
Well, the Yankee farm system has been top-heavy, but a lot of those guys have graduated. And so the Yankees do have 2 guys that can help them in the rotation, possibly even this year. Davy Garcia is a name that comes to mind. He pitched in the Futures game last year. He's kind of a smaller guy, so I wonder, if he's going to really be able to stick in the rotation. Baseball's not been kind to small pitchers, and he's under 6 feet, so it just makes you wonder. And then you got Clark Schmidt. He was our first-round pick 2 or 3 years ago. He's had Tommy John surgery as well, but the Yankee scouts, are raving about him. I don't really see, other than the guys we talked about, which are Frazier and Andujar and those guys. I don't even consider them farm system guys anymore because they've been around a couple years. I don't really see anybody that can help them immediately in the farm from the hitting perspective. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on some of those pitchers.
Yeah, I agree with you on Clark Schmidt. 92 to 97 with heavy sink on his fastball. Throws a changeup and a curveball. He's kind of their guy that they're looking to get some help in the. He's possibly a guy that could fall into the back end of that rotation too if some of these other guys aren't working out or somebody else goes down, which is very possible. So. Talk to me just for a second about Jason Dominguez. I know he's not ready anytime soon, but holy cow, the Yankees spent $5.1 million of their $5.4 international money on Jason Dominguez. What do you think about him? I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah, so obviously all the Yankees websites are raving about this guy. They're saying he could be the next A-Rod, hopefully without the steroids and the attitude and all that, but not an A-Rod fan at all, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I think he's only 17 years old. I've watched a lot of video of him myself. He's going to be a stick and something to definitely be excited about, someone to definitely watch. It really stinks that no minor league baseball this year because it's going to be interesting to not only see where they started him, but how quickly they tried to start moving him up. But, I mean, he's definitely somebody to watch down the line. Scouts very high on him.
He's going to be up pretty fast from everything that I've heard. And some of the names I've been throwing around are Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle. When you're getting compared to those kind of guys, Holy cow. Gotta admit, I haven't seen too much from him. He's 17, obviously the biggest reason why. I was hoping to watch the Futures game this year at the All-Star break, catch him there. But, man, they're really high on him. And if you get a guy like that locking the position down for a long time with all the free agents you guys signed, looks like Yankees, once again, Cashman might have scored on a big one there. So,
Yeah, super exciting.
all right, cool. So, what's the biggest question facing the 2020 Yankees?
Well, again, it goes back to the rotation. I would say that's their biggest question. But the second question they have to answer that's probably just as big is injuries. It has been an overriding thing even into the spring. Giancarlo Stanton was already down again. Judge is out again. They still don't even know if he's going to be back in time to play. He had a cracked rib that he didn't know about from the season before. So injuries, of course, Severino went down. Injuries is going to be a big question mark. The Yankees actually fired their entire training staff over this issue last year. And whether that was warranted or not or just bad luck, I don't know. But honestly, this has been a theme the last few seasons. And so I can't really blame them for wanting to make a change. So the rotation and injuries.
So I'm going to go with you on those as well, but I'm going to talk about a little different element so we mix up a little bit here. I'm going to go with Aaron Boone, and here's why. Okay, I like Aaron Boone. I'm not going to lie to you, all right? But we'll see in the playoffs. Can he lead them to a championship? That's something that these guys have been in a big drought for over the last 11 years. Aaron Boone's a new manager, doing a great job, obviously. But when you are the manager of the New York Yankees, you have different expectations from a different team like the Pirates or something like that. You're not just expected to make the playoffs anymore when you're the Yankees manager. You've got to win it all. And if you don't, you might not be around very long. He's done an amazing job with that team, especially last year with all those injuries. You cannot fault him for that. But if he doesn't win a World Series with all this talent that they've got in the next couple of years, he's gone. And Cashman will not have the patience with him. He'll move somebody else in, and somebody will get an absolute Cadillac to manage. And so I'm going to go with Aaron Boone on that to see what he can do. If he doesn't win it this year, I think maybe he's got one more year to win it. Then they might start thinking about somebody else.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Girardi is a perfect example of that. Honestly, Girardi's a great manager. He managed the Yankees through those really lean times when they were getting rid of players and trying to hold the line financially. And look what it got him. He kept going to the playoffs even with bad teams sometimes, and it got him out of town. So you're right. Booney's going to have to be on his game.
All right, our next question. So what are some position battles going on with the Yankees this year, David? What do we got as far as some guys that might be battling for some spots in the lineup or anything like that?
So honestly, the Yankees are pretty boring in that respect. They do have a couple possible positions where there could be a battle. Third base, if Rochelle starts to struggle, there's Andujar is definitely waiting in the wings. Supposedly his defense has gotten better. Now whether it has or not, I don't know. But they're going to have to find a place to play Andujar. His bat's just too good. He's a doubles machine. And so that's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Urshela. He kind of came out of nowhere. The Yankees picked him up off the waiver wire the year before. Like I said, had a great year last year, but he's definitely playing for his job. And then Luke Voigt over there at first, he was having a great year. He had a sports hernia that took him out right around the playoffs, and Mike Ford came up and absolutely mashed. And he's a lefty. He's a lot like Voigt, probably not the best defensive player there is, but they're going to have to find some ABs for him too. So those are the two positions I would say to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the outfield. I know you know how much I love Brett Gardner. That guy's a five-tool personality, not player. I just got no love for that guy whatsoever. If I was a teammate of his, I'd probably want to punch him in the face. Not a fan at all. He did, however, I got to hand it to him, had a career year last year. So that's probably why he is getting the nod right now as far as being a starter. But, I mean, you got a couple guys behind him. If, he's not doing the job, then somebody else is going to step in and do it. And I don't think that with a team like this, you've got to be loyal to a sense would be a fault. by that I mean, Boone's going to be in charge only for a certain amount of time here, and he's got to go with the guys that are going to win, and the guys who are going to give him the best out of that outfield. And man, you threw me off by throwing Giancarlo at the DH spot, so that kind of throws a little different perspective to this whole thing. But there's a lot of guys out there that can play the outfield, and if somebody's not doing it, Boone's got to make the move, and he's got to send somebody else in there to do the job. So.
Yep. Hey, I got another trivia question with relation to what you're talking about. I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I'm pretty sure. Guess who statistically the best defensive outfielder in the league was last year? You don't know. It's not your buddy Brett Gardner. It's Mike Tauchman.
Oh, well, I was going to go with Gardner. I thought that's why you brought that up, is you were going to go Gardner, and I was blah.
No. Gardner's Gold Glove caliber in left field. I think he won a Gold Glove last year or the year before. I can't remember. It's usually him or Alex Gordon in left field. But Tauchman, he is a fantastic defensive player. They brought him up last year to be a fifth outfielder. He ended up becoming a starter, and he's a big reason why the Yankees ended up making the playoffs. They had all these guys going down. They had to move Gardner to center, and Tauchman came up. He hit the ball well. I'm thinking he hit about 280, 290. He was on pace for about 25 homers, and he plays terrific defense. And so I'm interested to see how they're going to incorporate him in the lineup. There's got to be some way. And I think the Yankees outfield is going to be a rotation. I don't think, especially Stanton and Judge, will play every day out there because they've been so injury prone over the last few years. And so I would definitely expect to see those guys rotating around. And then you got Clint Frazier, who's not a very good defensive outfielder, but he's a big bat. And so I don't know what they're going to do with him either. So the outfield's kind of going to be an adventure for Boone to try to get through that.
What are your thoughts on Frazier? If I'm not mistaken, I think he was a 5th overall pick by the Indians back in, I believe, 2015, something like that maybe. This guy was highly touted when the draft came out. A lot of people thought he might be the number 1 pick overall that year. What do you think about him? Do you think he deserves a shot? Do you think he's good trade bait? What should they do with Clint Frazier?
I think Clint Frazier is just a bad fit for New York. There is something to that. There's some guys that can play well and do great in New York and thrive on it. And Clint Frazier's personality is just a bad fit for the Yankees. It doesn't make him a bad player or a bad teammate. It's just a bad fit for the Yankees. Let's be honest. The Yankees are known for being real professional, almost boring. And Clint Frazier is very outspoken. And I would like to see the Yankees try to move him. But at this point, he's almost damaged goods. And I don't really know what they're going to do with him. I don't know what I would do with him at this point because he needs to rebuild his value to get anything for him, but we don't have anywhere to play him. And so I'd say at some point he's going to be trade bait. Judge is locked in for a couple more years. Gardner is a free agent, so you could have a place to put him there. I don't really know what to do with him, just to be honest.
So I'm going to change levels on you a little bit here. Talk about DJ LeMahieu for a second. This guy last year hit 26 bombs with 102 RBI, batted .327 with a .375 on base, and had 197 hits. DJ LeMahieu was a Cubs prospect coming up. We had him for his rookie season, and I believe 1 year, and he went to Colorado for all those years and never really produced too much in Colorado, which is surprising. As big as he is for a second baseman, he never really raked, and then all of a sudden he became a Yankee. Career year, this guy was an MVP candidate. Talk a little bit about the guy with the awesome name, DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, so, he was our MVP last year. I think, I guess you could say Gleyber Torres should be in that conversation as well, but he was consistent all year long, played good defense. They moved him over to first some as well. I'm going to be honest with you. I was really upset when they signed him. I just thought it was dumb. You got to think back to that time. Gregorius was the starting shortstop, and Gleyber was going to play second. So it's like, why in the world would we sign DJ LeMahieu? Like, what are we going to do with that? That proved to be a genius signing. Going to be a free agent this year. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, especially if we don't have baseball. I mean, he's going to be coming off a career year, but we wouldn't have seen the year after it. So I don't know, if the Yankees will try to re-sign him, but yeah, as the year went on, man, totally fell in love with that guy. Ton of great defense. Couldn't really ask for anything more.
What is the best possible scenario for the 2020 Yankees?
Well, it's got to be World Series, right? I mean, this team was built for World Series or bust. And so the best case scenario is Judge gets healthy, Giancarlo gets healthy. We see Andujar come back and play a role as a utility player, hitting doubles and pinch hitting. We see Garrett Cole, as Garrett Cole was last year. We see Jordan Montgomery come back and be the pitcher he was 2 years ago. If those things happen, I think the Yankees are a World Series team for sure. Their division's kind of weak. Boston, I don't know what they're doing. I can't wait to talk about Boston because what a disaster. But you got the Rays. They're up and coming and young, and so they'll be nipping at the Yankees' heels. But this was the year the Yankees were built to win the championship. So best case scenario is stay healthy and go all the way.
I got to agree with that. The division is not very hard for them. It's not going to be very hard for them to win that. The Rays had an outstanding year last year by their standards. Unbelievable for them. They'll be there again with that pitching, with that, all that talent that they got, but they're not even close to the Yankees category. I believe the Astros are in shambles right now with everything going on with them. I'm not sure how they're going to pick up the pieces. That's something very tough to overcome. They're still going to be very good. They're still loaded. But Garrett Cole went to a different side, and that's going to be a huge factor in that series as well if they meet up again in the playoffs. Not a big fan of any other team in the American League as far as, competing with the Yankees. So I'm going to go with them winning the American League, which breaks my heart because I hate saying this, and I don't want anything good, positive going over there to your Yankees. But if they don't make the World Series with all this talent and all this pitching they got, it must be because the injuries bug just bit them because the talent's there, and it's on Boone, man. He's got to drive this Cadillac, and they got to go to the World Series. This is the year they got to make it. So what do you think are the biggest weaknesses of this 2020 team? Or no, I'm sorry. What is the worst case? I'm sorry, David. We already talked about that. What about the worst case scenario for the Yankees this year?
Worst case scenario is really the opposite of what we just talked about. If the injuries start piling up, it can really become a problem, especially on the pitching end. On the lineup end, I honestly think they could ride it out depending on who it was. But on the pitching end, if Cole were to go down, or even Tanaka or Paxton, you just don't know what you're going to get out of those guys in AAA, Schmidt and Davey Garcia. And so if that were to happen, although the Yankees bullpen is really deep, I don't know how, they would come back from that. The shorter season would obviously help matters because I think they can hit with anybody. But, even with that being said, they should at least be a wild card team. Like you said, with the way the other divisions are built, even if they had a couple key players go down, I would think the Yankees should be a wild card team. But obviously, worst case scenario is everybody gets injured, it doesn't play, and they miss the playoffs.
Couldn't agree more. I think the injury bug is the problem here. The worst case scenario is they fall apart. Worst case scenario is they just barely maybe win one playoff series and lose again. I think Yankees fans would be very tired of that kind of scenario, losing in the ALCS. I think it's World Series or bust this year for the Yankees, no doubt. So I wanted to give you a few names here as far as key losses from the 2019 team to the 2020 team. So which one of these guys do you think is going to be the worst, that the guy that they're going to miss the most? You got CC Sabathia, Dylan Betances, Didi Gregorius, Edwin Encarnacion, Cameron Maben, Troy Tulowitzki, all losses from last year's team. Which one of those guys do you think is going to be the biggest key loss from that team last year?
Of those guys, I guess I'd probably have to go with Sabathia just because of the trouble our pitching is in. We really didn't have Gregorius most of last year anyway. We didn't have Betances at all. And one key addition that they're going to miss, I think, to some extent that they lost this year was Edwin Encarnacion at the end of the year. He was a big help towards the end of the year. I think he hit 13 home runs down the stretch, and so losing him will hurt. But losing Sabathia in the clubhouse will hurt. His starts last year were short, but they usually were pretty good starts. He would usually give you 4 or 5 pretty good innings before you had to get him out of there. So I'll go Sabathia on that.
Yeah, that's a good one. The leadership alone, I mean, that's the guy that's been on this team, for a few years now, and he's been in the playoffs. He's a bulldog. He obviously had a rough year with injuries last year. He's getting a little older, so he fell apart. As far as that goes, I think the guy that you'll miss on the field the most, is what you already mentioned, is Encarnacion. That guy's just a machine. I hate that fact that he went to the White Sox, because that guy is good for 30 bombs and 100 ribbies, it seems like, every season. And, if he was healthy, another big if with the Yankees, if they would have had that whole team healthy last year, I don't know if there's anybody that would even come close to them based off of all the guys they had. And even if Tulowitzki was just playing just a little bit, I know he was a lot of injuries, and but, I mean, what a name that is, too, and he barely even sniffed the field last year, too, for them. So a lot of key losses from that team. The key addition, if you don't say Garrett Cole, you're an idiot. So it's got to be him. But if you – I don't know. I didn't really see too many other pieces that they added, David. Is there anybody else that you had in mind besides Garrett Cole that this team has added for the 2020 season?
No, most of the guys that I would say were additions were already on the team, just didn't play last year. The guys we've talked about, Andujar, Hicks. Hicks being out last year really hurt. Hicks is a key player for them. He's a switch hitter, plays great defense. He had a couple fantastic catches that saved some games down the stretch. And so, they weren't technically additions, but getting those guys back throughout the season, it should only make them a lot better. I have a question for you about Encarnacion, kind of off the subject a little bit. What do you think about his Hall of Fame case? I know neither one of us have stats in front of us. I want to say that he's in the area of 420 homers, or right in that area somewhere, maybe 400 homers. I can't remember exactly, but it's a guy that's been good for a long time. What do you think about his Hall of Fame case?
Edwin Encarnacion, well, I don't have the numbers right in front of me right now, but I can almost guarantee you that he's got 10 solid Hall of Fame years to his resume. And you know how I feel about that. If you're a Hall of Fame caliber player with those stats for 10 years, you're in. Today I was kind of looking at something on Albert Bell. Albert Bell dominated for 10 solid years, and that guy should have got a way better look than he did. I know he got in a lot of trouble, which shouldn't matter because all these guys get in some form of trouble. But I think Albert Bell and Edwin Encarnacion, both those guys, Hall of Fame resumes are pretty solid, and I don't know how you're going to keep Edwin Encarnacion on. If he has a couple more years and he ends up hitting 460 homers at the end of his career, nothing should really stop him. But then again, Fred McGriff's got 493, and people don't think he is. So we'll see. But I definitely think he's got 10 solid years without looking at it, and that's a good point. I'm almost positive he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'd say he's close. I'm like you. I think he needs maybe another year or two. He's a lot like Fred McGriff, really. He's just kind of been an unsung hero of a lot of teams, and he's good for 100 RBIs and about 30 homers every year. So I'm like you. I think he deserves a look anyway.
Yeah, he definitely does. He's been a great player and feared get bat in every lineup he's been in, and hopefully he does not do very well for the White Sox this year. Well, we obviously know that the Yankees are your number one love. That's your team. So if you're asking me the same question, I'm probably going to put them about 27th. As far as how much I love the Yankees.
Wow.
I'm going to put the Cardinals.
All the history.
Okay, so you got me there. So the history of the New York Yankees is undeniable. However, you get jealous as a Cubs fan looking at the Yankees, who are just in the playoffs every single year. It's what you want to be as a franchise. You get sick of it. Yeah, they're the guys that are always in it. Blah blah blah. Tired of it. I don't know. I've never really been a Yankees fan. Never really liked their teams. So no, I'm not gonna. They're going down.
So who's your favorite Yankee? Let's talk about that. If you had to choose a favorite Yankee, who would that be?
This one's pretty easy for me actually. So what we were talking about just a minute ago is if you don't have an appreciation and love for the history of the Yankees, you're not really a baseball fan. Because I mean, they are the history of baseball. If you ask me, with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle. Now that's my guy right there, Mickey Mantle. That would be my all-time favorite Yankee. Number 7. I'm not going to lie to you if I didn't factor into my love of number 7 a little bit. That guy is just a real deal. Played the game hard-nosed, physical player. Played the D, the bat, unbelievable. By far, not even close. I'm going to go with Mickey Mantle, and I'm going to turn the table on you. And can I guess your all-time favorite Yankee?
You'll never guess it. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Tino Martinez.
You know me a lot better than I thought you did. That is
yes.
my favorite. That is my favorite. Yeah, so Tino came over in a trade in 1995, I believe. This is 96. It was in 96, all season of 96. And, man, so many big home runs, so many good memories. And what's crazy is he was replacing my favorite Yankee before that, Don Mattingly. I was a huge Don Mattingly fan, even through the years where his back had robbed his power. I love me some Don Mattingly. But, yeah, I actually got to go to Yankee Stadium one time. That's a cool story. I know we're probably going to segue into that in a minute. The only time I've been to Yankee Stadium was Hideki Arabu's debut start in 1997. And Tino Martinez hit an upper deck home run. Yankees win. Arabu got the win. It was so cool being in New York and seeing all those papers on the street that were hyping up the start for Arabu. A lot of people, man, I was in heaven. It was in July of 1997. But Tino is my favorite all-time Yankee still to this day. I'll never forget in 2001, watching the World Series. I can still remember I was in my parents' basement. It was like midnight, and Tino Martinez hit a big home run to tie the game. Went crazy. My mom came running out of her bedroom wondering what was wrong. So a lot of great memories around Tino Martinez. But I'm going to tell you, when I sat down, I had to really think about that question because there were so many memorable Yankees. Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera, all those guys, Derek Jeter, obviously, all those guys that kind of came up together. That's what was so cool about those teams in the 90s and 2000s is a lot of those guys were there all the way. But very good guess. You knew me better than I thought.
So the other day I was watching Game 1 of the 1998 World Series against the San Diego Padres, and in the 7th inning of that game, the Yankees were down. And if you'll remember, old Tino came up there, grand salami, and that game was over before the blink of an eye. Big David Wells was on the mound. I forgot how big that guy
Another
was.
one of my favorites.
David Wells, that's up there too?
Yeah, man, I love David Wells. He was a lifelong Yankee fan. Actually has a game-worn Babe Ruth hat that he bought at auction. I love me some David Wells.
So if we're going back, since there's a lot of history here, and last week I did a little bit of bouncing back and forth with the different generations of the Cubs, so I'm going to give you the opportunity a little bit tonight to talk about the past Yankees. So if you go out of our era, so obviously we've started watching baseball around 86, 87 season. So if you go before that into the past Yankees, who would be your favorite all-time Yankee icon?
That's a really tough one because, again, there was a lot of them. I really liked Mickey Mantle. I'm like you growing up, switch hitter. But I always really liked Lou Gehrig. I liked it that Lou Gehrig played second fiddle to the greatest player in the game and just did it with such class, went out there every day. So I'm going to go with Lou Gehrig.
I agree with that. I obviously am gonna go with Mickey Mantle. But I can't. If you don't like Lou Gehrig, something wrong with you. Babe Ruth to me is the greatest player of all time. I'll say it till the day I die. Sometimes I kind of go back and forth. I'm like, was he really that great? Is there so and so a little bit better than him? Or back and forth I go, and then I remember Babe Ruth was an awesome pitcher too. And if you're an
That's
awesome
right.
pitcher and you got all the stats he's got, case is closed. I mean, if you can do everything on the field, I'm sorry, but you're the greatest of all time. So I'm going to go with Babe for that. Do you agree with that, or do you think somebody else is?
No, I think Babe's the greatest of all time. I mean, we don't know what he would be now. There's no way to prove it one way or the other. The only thing we have to compare him against was the people of his era. Not only was he one of the top pitchers, but he was hitting more home runs than most teams at that point. And so, I mean, it's kind of hard to deny it. Like I said, I don't know if he would be better than Hank Aaron or Barry Bonds or Willie Mays. We'll never know. But in his era, he was 10 times better than the average player. And so I agree with you. I would have to say he's the best of all time.
You already covered this a little bit, so I'm going to go with this question from a different perspective. Why have you never been to the new Yankee Stadium yet?
Well, it's definitely been on the bucket list. I don't know. It's funny. I became a Yankee fan because my dad was a Yankee fan. He became a Yankee fan because his dad was a Yankee fan. But, I never go up towards New York. And so we've talked about it. My kids are all wanting to go see the new Yankee Stadium. I said the year that it opened that I was going to go. It just never happened. But it's coming soon. I think we need to do that one together, DJ.
I'll be all for that one. And Nicole and I did go to Old Yankee Stadium right before they closed it, the last year of Old Yankee Stadium. We got on a plane. We flew to New York. We were completely confused by the subway system, somehow find our way to Yankee Stadium. We get there. We watch a game against the Toronto Blue Jays. I kid you not, I've never seen more police officers in my entire life. But then I understood why when I see all the fights breaking out in the stands. A couple Blue Jay fans were in right field. In about the 7th, 8th inning, when people start getting a little tipsy, that's a bad time to be a Blue Jays fan. And a bunch of fights breaking out. We were highly entertained by it. It was a really good game, but awesome stadium. I got nothing bad to say about it. Historic, like we were talking about last week. You gotta love the historic fields. Like you said, we had the privilege of playing on one in college. And just an awesome thing. I'm glad we got to experience it. We were in and out of New York like that. I'd like to go back when we have more time. Maybe that'll be a thing we can do as families together, hopefully coming up soon. Get to New York, check out New Yankee Stadium. Definitely on the bucket list for me as well.
Yep, let's do it, man. I'm all in. And public service announcement, I'm not sitting with you if you're wearing an opposing team jersey in Yankee Stadium. It's not happening, especially in right field. The game we went to, man, there was a huge fight in right field. They had to stop the game. Beer bottles were coming from the upper deck. I don't even remember what started it, but if you wear an opposing jersey, I'm out.
I'm known to do that. It drives Nicole absolutely insane that I'll do that, but I don't know if I'm going to do that in Yankee Stadium after seeing what I saw. I kind of like my life, and I don't want to get beat up, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm probably just going to go neutral, wear something black like blue jeans. I'm just completely going neutral when we do that. So I won't even wear a hat. I won't even wear a hat. No, you won't. All right, so I wanted to add a little segment here real quick. I know we've been on this for a while now, but just real quick for some of our Tennessee Temple teammates that might be listening, give a shout out to some fellow Yankee fans that were on our team. Got anybody in mind?
Oh, yeah. You know where I'm going with this. I want to give a big shout out to Billy Garrett, the only guy that I knew that was actually from New York. And a hilarious story. One of these days, I want to tell the whole thing. But DJ and Billy went signing with us in Chattanooga. We left them out in a battlefield that they thought was haunted. We told DJ that snipe hunting was on ESPN, and he totally fell for it. And so probably, honestly, either that or picking up a hitchhiker was my greatest memory of Tennessee Temple. in all 4 years that I was there. It was awesome.
I completely forgot about the hitchhiker. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Is there anyone else you had in mind for the Yankee fan? I couldn't think of anybody else.
How about a good shout out to Gus Hernandez?
Oh, and Marcus Mortensen, man. How could I forget those two guys?
Bingo. Marcus as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about those guys. That's terrible. You kind of caught me off guard there.
I did. Gus and Marcus, don't be offended by this. We kind of just throw that one together last second. I meant to go over it last week. I'd like to do this with every team, just kind of see if we have any teammates that are fans of any of the teams we talk about. The Cubs, I think I was all alone on, if I'm not mistaken. I know we had old Tim Smooch Hearn come through that was a Cubs fan. But other than that, I don't think there was any other Cubs fans that we had as teammates. So.
Nope. I can't think of it. Just my freshman year. That's the only one I can think of.
All right. So we're going to close this segment out with some trivia. And I'm going to go with asking you first. I'm going to once again put 1 minute on the clock. Okay. I like doing these ones to you. I like to give you these kind of lists so you can go through and kind of see what you got as far as Yankee history here. This one shouldn't be too hard for you. I got faith in you that in 1 minute, you're going to get 8 out of the 10. That's my guess, okay? I'm going to go with that for my prediction. If you let me down, you're going to make me look bad in front of our 2 viewers that we have. So don't do that to me there.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Hold on.
Yep.
I'm going to give you the question, and you got 5 seconds to think about it, then I'll start the clock.
Okay.
The top 10 career hits in a Yankee uniform. Top 10 guys, career hits in a Yankee uniform. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
Jeter, Ruth, oh man, Mantle, DiMaggio, Gehrig. Let's see here. Let's see. Mattingly. You know who I bet's on the list? Bernie Williams. I bet he's up close on the list anyway. Let's see here. 5 so far? Is that what you said?
No, he's number 5. You got 7 of the 10.
Okay, hold on. No, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them all. Just give me a second. Did I say Yogi Berra yet?
Ooh, that's 8.
That's 8. Let's see here. If I think, is Rizzuto on there? No. I could get this if we sat here long enough. I could definitely. Hey, I bet Robinson Cano might be on that list. Is he on the list? All right. I'm out of gas.
Time is out. So I correctly predicted 8 out of 10. You nailed it. You made me look good. The 2 you missed, Bill Dickey and Earl Combs. Ever heard of them?
Never heard of Earl Combs. Bill Dickey, yes. I might have actually had him confused with the guy that I mentioned there, but never heard of Earl Combs. 1898? Was he like an all-star in 1898?
He had 1,800 hits in the Yankees uniform. I don't know about 1,800 player. Never heard of Earl Combs?
No. He must have played in the 80s.
You
the 70s. Back when the Yankees stunk there for a minute.
You got to go through. You got some homework, man. You got to study Earl Combs. You got to baseball reference him or something tonight. I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Highly disappointed. Number 10 guy all time. Never even heard of the guy.
I got a trivia question. I'm gonna be interested to see if you get this because you might remember this. This is in our era. In 1990, the Yankees had a pitcher who pitched a no-hitter and lost. Can you name who that pitcher was?
He lost the no-hitter.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So I know for a fact, well, I shouldn't say for a fact, but I'm pretty sure Jim Abbott threw a no-hitter in a Yankees uniform. They won.
Did.
That would not have been 1990, though. Man, I'm trying to think who had been in that rotation that could have thrown a no-hitter in 1990.
How about, I'm going to throw a blast from the past right here. You may not even remember this guy. I do, because I had some of his cards back in the day. Andy Hawkins.
Ooh,
The great Andy Hawkins. Yeah.
I've heard of him, but I
back,
never would have got that.
That was back in the days of really bad Yankee teams. They went through a stretch there. I can still name some of the guys in the rotation, but I guarantee you've never heard of them. You ever heard of Melito Perez? Does that ring a bell to you at all?
Actually, yeah, I think I have. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he played with the Expos a little bit too.
You're thinking of his brother, Pascual Perez, and he was on the same team. But anyway.
There you go, Pascual. I knew of Perez, and at least it was his brother. I don't feel as bad now.
Yeah.
Okay, so who won that game that Andy Hawkins lost as a no-hitter? That's crazy.
Stumped me on that
one. Yeah, I don't know either.
I say it was the Padres. No, it would have been the Padres because they never in a league play. Andy Hawkins went to the Padres. That's why that's ringing a bell. I don't know. Don't know the answer to that one. I just remember he had like 8 walks or something crazy.
I was gonna say he must have plunked somebody, or could you imagine though throwing a no-hitter and losing? Unbelievable. That's crazy to me.
Yep. I couldn't handle that one.
It's kind of, this is completely off key, but the year that my team in 2014 made this state tournament, we were in the game to go to the state tournament to the Final Four, and we got no hit and won 2-0. So it happens.
Oh, wow.
It happens. It was absolutely crazy, an unbelievable game. But I didn't even know we were no hit because I was so into it and had no clue. But after the game, one of the reporters told me. And yeah, if you throw a no hitter and lose, you're crushed. I guarantee you that. So that's a good one, man. That was a really good one. That was tough, man. You're pulling some tough ones out. I gotta get a little tougher on you next week. So.
Well, that was a good one, man. When you told me I had to name 8 out of 10, I was sweating there for a second. My mind was racing.
Bernie Williams, he came through on that one. I would have never guessed he was number 5 with all those players that have played with them. Man.
Hey, Bernie Williams was very underrated, and I can make a compelling Hall of Fame argument for him if you ever want to go there with.
No, you can't. No,
yes,
you
can't. I can.
No.
Yes, I can.
Tim Raines is way better.
I just can't let that one go, man. I just can't let it go. Hey, side note that I found out this week, something I did not know. The Hall of Famer who least deserves it, we've talked about this, is Bill Mazeroski. Here's what I didn't know. He's a West Virginian. Who knew? No idea.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, West Virginia that I know of has 2 players in the Hall of Fame. Neither one of them ever actually played high school ball in West Virginia. They were just born here. George Brett and Bill Mazeroski. Didn't have any idea.
So now you believe Bill Mazeroski's a Hall of Famer now, don't you?
First ballot.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Dave. Is there anything you got to add here at the end about the 2020 Yankees, or anything else in general that you wanted to throw in or add or talk about before we sign off here tonight?
Well, I don't want to get way in the weeds here. We probably ought to do a whole episode on it, but what do you think our chances of baseball are at this point?
So if you asked me about a week ago, I would have thought we're okay. I'm getting worried, man. It's the middle of June now. I don't know how much more time they could possibly have. If they actually want to do a spring training and go into this, they honestly have got to figure something out within a week. And if they don't do it, I don't know, man. And I'm not liking it at all.
I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm going to bet that this spills over into whatever 2021 season we have. It seems like there's just definitely some bad blood. I can see, a little bit of what both sides are saying. So I don't know. I wish that somebody would just step up and say, hey, let's do it for the fans. But it's not going to happen. Both sides are greedy. Owners don't want to lose money after making millions the last few years. Players, while making millions, feel jilted because they're not going to get prorated salaries. I tend, honestly, to lean more towards the owners in that scenario. I heard today that in 1995, Roger Clemens signed a record deal, and it was like 3 years and $25 million. Well, now a number 5 starter will get $20 million, and players are still whining, about money. And so it really chaps me, if I'm being honest. I would just assume watch AAA players or Little League players or college players. I'm definitely over the whining, really on both sides.
Awesome. I totally agree. On another side note, what do you got in the background there? It looks like you got a little starting lineup figure in the back there. Is that one of your Yankee guys? And there's another, that looks like Derek Jeter possibly back there, and Lou Gehrig. And
so I'm in Leland's room. The kids and Allison think this is hilarious. I'm in Leland's room, and so I got some starting lineups. I don't know if you can see those pictures back here, but I have a signed Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, and Whitey Ford picture. I have a signed Ted Williams and DiMaggio brothers pick, and under that is a Mickey Mantle and Hank Aaron signed picture. So pretty cool stuff. But yeah, there's a Derek Jeter starting lineup, a Lou Gehrig starting lineup, a Hank Aaron starting lineup, and there's a Ricky Henderson back here sliding. So anyway, yeah, Leland's room.
Man, that boy's got some.
I don't have any man
autographs there.
space around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to work on that. Come on, Allison. Well,
Hey,
David, it's been fun, man.
So real quick, last time I haven't checked our views in a while, but we were in the 40s, which is pretty impressive.
We're at 50.
But
Last time I checked.
at 50, okay, that's our producer Devin, by the way, in the background. Is that Devin? Is that right?
That's Lindsay back there. She said 59 was the last count.
Lindsay?
Yep.
Yeah.
59. Well, listen, our 100th viewer on this episode, DJ is going to buy you lifetime Chicago pizza. So we appreciate the donation, DJ. And the 100th viewer will be watching to see who that is.
Our producers got that. You keep track of that for him. I'll get him some Jack's real thin pizzas. I can send them for like $1.50 each.
That's awesome.
Well, it was good, David. We'll talk after we sign off here about the next team we're going to do. If there's any fans tuning in tonight, we appreciate it. 2020 Yankees. That's about it. So we're going to sign off and thank everybody for listening, paying attention, whatever you're going to be doing here. We love to have more viewers for our podcast, Frenemies. With that, David, it's been a pleasure, man. Nice job on this Yankees preseason 2020 roster and all the talk that we had tonight. So good job, buddy.
Good job, buddy. Thank you.